Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I am going to be making a big square bill. Now big square bills seem to be all the rage right now if you're able to fish. A lot of people are using them. You gotta have the right gear for them and it's gotta be the right time of year and everything, but man, they will catch you some hogs. Now I've made a big square bill before. I don't know if you guys remember this one. This is just a kind of more of a square shape. A little bit of a rounded belly, kind of in a crawl pattern there. I dig it. It's a nice bait, but I want to make one with a similar shape and profile, but more rounded so that it looks more like a bait fish, you know, kind of a more traditional pattern. And then we're going to use some pearl paints and some other stuff and give it a real nice subtle paint job. But we're going to carve that out of wood. We're going to start with some balsa we're going to glue together and kind of create a multi-layered laminate to get the thickness that we want. And we'll see what happens. So let's get to it. All right, we're gonna take this piece here and we're gonna cut it into about 3 equal shapes, or sizes I should say. That way we're creating a pretty uniform bait here. And then that's about perfect. And we're gonna cut it down and then we'll glue these 3 pieces together. That's about a 1/2 inch. And that'll give us about 1.5 inches worth of width to start carving with. All right, so we got these blocks of wood cut out. They're about the same shape and size, a little bit off. Got the wood glue here. Gonna throw in some gloves, glue this up, and then we'll be ready to actually trim off some of the excess here, square it up, and then get our stencil drawn on. All right, here is the mess, and it is a mess. So we're gonna, don't mind my hands, I've been painting baits while we were waiting. Let me move some of this out of the way. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get these clamps off of here. Still a little bit of wet glue here and there, but it's good enough for what we're getting ready to do. I'm gonna let it sit for just a couple more minutes, and it should be good enough to go ahead and trim off some of the excess, like right here. You can kind of see it's not exactly, you know, level. Same here, and then we'll get it on the sander so we can actually draw out our pattern. All right, here it is. It's all ready to go. Just need to draw our pattern on there. It's a little thicker down here as far as that way is concerned, but I'm going to go ahead and draw the pattern on and get it ready to go so we can get it back on the bandsaw to cut it out for the bait itself. So what we're going to do is I'm going to draw out this pattern, and I'll try to keep it relatively simple. It's a square bill, right? Let's get it cut out on the bandsaw.
watched any of my videos in the past, at least some of them, I made this template a while back for shapes of bills to get the right angle. And it actually is pretty good. You got to get it kind of close, but let's see there. That is the square bill one. I think that's about right. Got to get that bottom section lined up as the critical part. There we go. And we go back to the bandsaw to cut out that little notch. Now, anytime you cut out your notches like that, you should test them with your Lexan to make sure it's going to fit, slide in. That's a nice tight fit there. Yeah, that's going to be really good. You probably didn't see that. Sorry. It squeezes in there pretty nicely. That's the way you want it, nice tight fit. So yeah, we're good to go. This thing is coming along pretty well. It's big. That's a pretty big square bill. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna start shaping it back, getting the edges down, rough sanding, and then we'll go in and really start to get that rounded shape that we want over the whole bait. Not gonna be like this other one where it's kind of blocky and square, but more of a rounded profile that you would see on a traditional bait fish, and so we're gonna cut it first with the profile shape. That's the profile, you know what I mean, the overhead view, to get the rough shape started now that it's all squared up, and then we will go ahead and start the sanding process. I'm definitely envisioning this thing to be pretty thick right through this area. So just kind of rough it in a little bit here. That's pretty even. I'm gonna take it over to the bandsaw and start getting that shaped up. It's not exactly perfect. It's getting there though. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on getting all of this sanded and shaped better, going back and forth with the piece of belt sander and cutting these edges back so that we have an even surface to work with. That'll all help to get this thing balanced out a little better. You can see it's a little bit bulbous here and flatter over here, so we're gonna get that fixed. After a bit of trimming and shaping, there it is. Nothing fancy. Fits in there nicely, just kind of the way we want it. It'll still take a little bit of rough shaping, sanding it and stuff, but it's really close at this point. Fits really well. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and seal the bait. I'm not gonna seal it with super glue, I'm gonna seal it with something else, this polyurethane stuff. So that's gonna take it a little bit of time, so we'll get it sealed up and then we'll be ready for some final sanding, drill the eyes. Actually, we're gonna drill the eyes first. and go ahead and I guess tap for the line tie, the hook hangers, and the eyes. We'll do that next. Yeah, I think it'll be the smartest way to do it. All right, I've got this Varathane polyurethane that really works well for sealing these baits. It just takes a little longer to dry, but I've got some time today, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Basically, all I'm going to do is I've got the eyelet in there, and I'm going to put it through. I'm going to pinch it down with a pair of pliers that I should have already had, so it can't come out. So I can throw it on the floor, pick it up, and it's still good. See there? And then all I'm going to do is basically dip this into the polyurethane, completely submerging everything, and then I'm just going to let it drip just for a few seconds here, getting the majority of that excess off of there. And then I'm going to hang it over here to my left over this paper plate, and it'll just absorb and, you know, drip the rest of it off as it's drying. This stuff actually dries pretty quick. Within half an hour or so, this should be ready for some sanding, and then we'll be ready to install the hardware, the lip, and then get ready for paint.
So this thing, let me zoom in a little better here, hopefully, whoa. So this thing really sealed up nice. It's hard, it's really set up well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all this out for now, and then we're going to go back and do some refinement sanding, and then we're gonna be getting ready to do the lead and baking soda, you know, the baking soda and super glue thing to seal up the bottom, and then we'll be pretty much ready for paint. We do have to glue in the bill, but that's just gonna take a minute after we get the refinement sanding and all that good stuff done. But she's, like I said, she's good and solid now, sealed up and ready for those next steps. All right, got the holes marked here. I don't know if you can see those. We got a couple holes here. That's the hook hanger in the middle. We're gonna go ahead and punch these out. Got a little 3/8 inch Forstner. We're gonna use that to go ahead and punch a little hole here. I don't have a drill press, so this is the best we can do. So we'll see how it goes here. There's a lot of wood here, so I know I'm gonna need a little bit more lead than I'd like, just because it's a lot of wood there. Big bait. We're gonna weigh this as soon as we get it done to see. Then we'll go do a buoyancy test. But I think since it's a square bill, it ain't that critical, right? I mean, it's gonna either float or sink. I'm not looking for a suspending square bill on this. I'm just looking to balance the weight so that when it dives, it swims properly. Just trying to add enough that it will dive relatively easily. Okay, that one seems to be set pretty well, pretty even in the middle. And there we go on that back one too. Okay, I'm pretty content with that. We're gonna let this lead set up, and then we'll do the baking soda and super glue to seal this back up, and we should be good to go. All right, here she is. Nice rolled over body, pretty plumbed up and square. The light's terrible, sorry. But she looks pretty good. Get you a little zoom in action on her there. Get off my face. So there she is, looking pretty good. Got the hook hangers. There's the back one, the belly one, the line tie. The bill is in and glued, and she's sanded back. We're gonna go ahead and tape off the bill, and then we'll be ready to start painting. Ouch. All right, so here she is, ready to paint. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint this in a specific pattern because this was a little bluegill. You can see this. That's my buddy Preston. He caught this little bluegill, and my son caught
this one, which he didn't do a great job of holding, but Preston caught this one, and it's about the same size, and I'm gonna kind of try to replicate. It's like a really light bluegill pattern. So I'm gonna try to replicate that as best I can. Some light orange on the bottom, a lot of whites, maybe some of that flesh tone color with a scale pattern, and then throw in a little bit of the darker greens, and we'll see what we get. But it's gonna be a very light kind of bluegill pattern. So let's get to it. I really hope this is dry. Looks like it might be. Such extra weight added with those big clips, but that's kind of what you need to do. Oh yeah, that didn't turn out bad. I'm gonna do some little darkening up top anyway. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm really happy with that. That's kind of what I was going for. Not exactly perfect, but up top, but I'm gonna hit it, like I said, with that sepia to give it a little bit of darkness, and then we'll hit the, use a comb to hit the sides to give it that kind of stripy pattern we saw on both of those fish that Logan and Preston caught. So yeah, I was really more concerned about this area here on both sides, and that just turned out just right on. So, all right, so we're gonna hit the sepia up top, and then we are going to do the little shading down the sides, and after that we will hit the bottom and we'll be about done. All right, it's time for the eyes. I think this is done. I mean, you guys may disagree with me, but I don't know. I think it's done. So I'm going to use a 7mm eye on this. I've got a few options here. I'm going to go with something a little bit yellow, or excuse me, kind of a combo yellow and pearlescent, or not pearlescent, okay. Holographic. So it's like a holographic yellow eye, like this. I don't know if that shows up very well, but I dig it.
All right, well, here she is, finished, all clear coated up and all that good stuff. I put on some 1/0 owner hooks, it's a beefy bait, right? It needs those bigger hooks. Here, let me get a closer image for you on this thing in the light. There we go. This thing is pretty snazzy looking.
I like it. I think it's got a really subtle appearance. That pearl really helps to make that those greens really pop well. It's got that really light orange bottom. Just again, subtle, right? I don't know what else to say about it except for subtle. This will imitate bait fish just across the nation, and I think it would just really do well at that pond where Logan and I were fishing with those other guys, and it just, again, solid bait. Let me move us back here. Don't zoom in on my face too much there. There we go. Once again, I want to thank you guys for watching these videos. I hope you're enjoying the making of the baits, the painting, all that good stuff. If you are, hit that thumbs up. If you're one of my existing subscribers, thank you for continuing to watch the videos and sticking around. And if you're new, maybe you're a subscriber, maybe you're not, hit that button. I would appreciate it so we can keep bringing you cool content like this. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next video.